Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The Galactic Council massacred our Valoran allies, until Earth's warship struck back. So you want to hear about the time the mighty Galactic Council got their tentacles handed to them by a bunch of bipedal mammals from a watery rock. Pour yourself another glass of century brandy. This might take a while. My name is Kvor, Senior Commander, former Senior Commander, of the Nazari Defense Fleet. And yes, before you ask, these scars across my face weren't from some noble battle. I got them when Earth's 7th Armada blew my flagship to pieces over Real Prime. Dishonorable discharge doesn't quite capture what happens when you lose half your fleet to a species that had barely achieved FTL travel 50 years ago. The Council called humans primitive, underdeveloped, barely spaceworthy. Those same Council members now hide in their fortified bunkers whenever a human vessel appears on long-range scanners. Funny how perspectives change, right? Let me set the scene for you. The year was 2794 by Earth's calendar, about 12 cycles ago. The Galactic Council had ruled our sector for over 3,000 years, 27 species all playing nice, following regulations, paying their taxes. Then Nazari, that's my people, we were the muscle, blue-skinned, four-armed, built for war, and proud of it. The Tsian handled diplomacy, the Vex managed resources, the Vandoran controlled information networks. Everyone had their place. Then there were the Valoran, purple-skinned humanoids, peaceful, spiritual, with technology that bordered on magical. They could heal nearly any wound, grow food in the harshest environments, and their cities, floating crystal structures that looked like they were built from solidified dreams. Beautiful people, too beautiful for this cruel universe. The Valoran had been Council members for centuries when they detected the human transmissions. Against Council protocol, a decision they would later pay for with billions of lives, they sent a ship to make contact. Earth isn't ready, the Council declared. Their development must proceed naturally until they achieve the required technological benchmarks. That was the official statement, anyway. The truth? The Council was scared. Human history read like a horror story to most Council species. These creatures fought wars over land, resources, ideology, sometimes just for the hell of it. They had nearly destroyed their own planet multiple times but somehow kept bouncing back stronger. I remember watching the first contact footage. The Valoran ship hovered over some place called New Zealand. The humans didn't panic, didn't launch missiles. Your leader, President Chen, simply walked out onto a field with a small delegation and waited. When Valoran Ambassador Thel descended from his ship, he bowed, he'd studied human customs, and President Chen bowed back. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "We've been hoping someone would stop by." Ambassador Thel laughed at that. "We've been listening to your broadcasts for decades. Your species tells fascinating stories." And just like that, the Valoran and humans became friends, not allies yet, just friends. The Council was furious, issued sanctions against the Valoran, but couldn't do much else. Not yet, anyway. I was just a junior commander then, tasked with monitoring the human situation. I watched them learn, adapt, absorb Valoran technology at an alarming rate. Where other species might take decades to understand a concept, humans would grasp it in years, sometimes months. "They're dangerous," my superior told me. "Too adaptable, too unpredictable." If only we had known just how right he was, and how completely, embarrassingly unprepared we were for what would come next. 5 years after first contact, the Valoran and humans had developed what the Council feared most, a symbiotic relationship. Hey, the Council's worst nightmare, two species actually helping each other instead of competing. Unthinkable. You should have seen the reports coming across my desk. Humans adopt Valoran crystal tech, Valoran implementing human agricultural methods, joint research facility established on Mars. Each report made my superiors more nervous. And I'll admit, although I wouldn't have then, I was fascinated. The Valoran brought advanced technology, especially in medicine and energy production. Their crystal matrices could store unbelievable amounts of power, and their healing techniques could regrow limbs, cure most diseases, even extend human lifespans. The Council had always restricted technology transfers between species, claiming it was for developmental integrity. What a load of Fandoran dung. They just wanted to keep everyone dependent on Council resources. But what did humans offer the Valoran? That's what everyone asked. The Valoran were thousands of years ahead technologically, spiritually evolved, peaceful. What could they possibly need from humans? As it turns out, humans brought something the Valoran desperately needed: survival skills. The Valoran had been peaceful for so long, they'd forgotten how to defend themselves. Their military consisted of ceremonial guards with pretty uniforms and shiny, largely decorative weapons. They hadn't fought a war in over 2,000 years. Humans. War was practically their hobby. We don't want weapons, they explained to the Council when questioned about the alliance. But we want perspective. Humans understand struggle in ways we've forgotten. President Chen was more direct at the joint announcement of the alliance: the Valoran help us live better lives. We help make sure they keep living at all. The alliance was formalized in the Treaty of New Valora, signed on Earth's moon. I remember watching the broadcast, sipping my fermented nightberry juice, wondering if I was witnessing the beginning of something wonderful or terrible. Turns out, it was both. The treaty allowed for exchange of technology, resources, and most alarmingly to the Council, personnel. Humans began living on Valoran worlds. Valoran established communities on Earth. Human engineers started redesigning Valoran ships, adding defenses, while Valoran scientists revolutionized Earth's medical facilities overnight. When the Nazari ambassador protested this dangerous mingling at a council session, they simply smiled that serene Valoran smile. Perhaps the Council should consider why defensive capabilities are suddenly so important to us. The truth was, the Valoran had seen something in Council records they weren't supposed to, something about developmental intervention protocols, something about species containment, something about what happened to races that grew too quickly, became too independent. The Valoran realized they might be next on that list. And they were right. Vice Admiral Jackson Romano, Earth's first space naval commander, put it bluntly when I interviewed him years later: the Valoran knew they were marked for death. They just didn't know how soon the executioner was coming. Neither humans nor Valoran realized they only had months before the Council would make its move. But they used those months well, those clever, doomed allies. They used them very well indeed. The Council called it Emergency Protocol 17. We called it what it was: genocide. I was there. That's the part that still wakes me up at night, sends me reaching for the bottle. I was there, following orders, when we descended on Valora's Prime with 38 warships and the newly developed quantum disruptors. A containment action, High Commander Broke told us during the briefing. The Valoran have violated multiple Council directives. They've shared restricted technology, they've altered their development path. He paused then, his green eyes scanning the room. They've endangered us all by arming the humans. What a convenient excuse. As if the Valoran, who used crystal technology to create floating gardens, were suddenly militarizing. As if humans, barely 50 years into space travel, posed any threat to the Council's might. But fear makes for excellent policy, doesn't it? Fear and jealousy. The attack began at dawn, Valor time. Their orbital defenses were minimal, ceremonial really. We disabled them in minutes. Then the bombardment started. Target governmental and technological centers only, came the order. But quantum disruptors don't discriminate. They tear apart the atomic bonds of everything they touch. Buildings, infrastructure, people, plants, all reduced to constituent particles, scattered to the wind. The first crystal city collapsed in 17 minutes. The second lasted 22. By midday, the capital was gone. 3 billion Valoran, gone. Just gone. Send the message to all Valoran worlds, High Commander Brozak ordered. Sever all ties with Earth immediately or face the same consequence. I remember standing on the bridge, watching the destruction through our view screens, feeling sick. Commander Lax beside me whispered, "This isn't containment. This is extermination." He was right. The Council had decided the Valoran-Human alliance threatened their control. Both species were becoming too independent, too cooperative, developing too quickly together. So they chose to make an example of the Valoran. Surely the humans would retreat to their solar system, cowed by the display of Council might. The Valoran on other worlds refused to comply. 7 more planets fell in the next 3 days. 11 billion more lives erased. Some Council members objected, called for restraint. They were overruled. The extermination continued. Then something unexpected happened. As we approached the Valoran colony of New Horizon, our long-range scanners detected ships in orbit. Not Valoran vessels. They were crude by our standards, blocky, inelegant, but there were hundreds of them. Human ships. How did they get here so quickly? Broke demanded. They don't have the jump technology. But they did. Somehow, they did. And as we soon learned, that wasn't all they had. The humans had named their hastily assembled fleet Operation Vengeance. It was the first time I heard that word. It wouldn't be the last. My communications officer turned to me, confusion on her face. "Commander, they're broadcasting on all frequencies, audio and visual." "Put it through," I ordered. The face that appeared on our screen was human, female, dark-skinned, silver hair cropped short. Her uniform was black with silver trim. Her expression could have frozen a sun. "This is Admiral Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice terrifyingly calm. "You have murdered our friends. We are here to ensure you never do so again." Then she smiled. Not a Valoran smile, peaceful, serene. This was something else, something predatory. "And we brought gifts," she added. "Technology the Valoran were too kind to use. We have no such reservations." That's when my tactical officer started screaming about energy readings unlike anything we'd ever seen. What we didn't know, what the Almighty Council didn't know, was that humans had been preparing for this scenario since day one. Day one. They called it the First Contact Contingency. The moment the Valoran arrived, humans started planning for the possibility that the wider galactic community might not be friendly. "We've spent our history fighting each other," explained General Marcus Blackwell during my interrogation years later. "Did you really think we wouldn't be ready to fight someone else?" He laughed then, slapping his knee like I'd told the most amusing joke. "Humanity united faster against the possibility of you than we ever did against ourselves." While the Council watched the heartwarming cultural exchanges and technological trades, they missed what was happening behind the scenes. The Valoran shared jump drive technology that the Council had restricted. Humans adapted it, improved it, made it smaller and more efficient in 5 years than the Council had in 5 centuries. President Chen had authorized a secret military buildup immediately after the Treaty of New Valora. Resources poured into shipyards hidden throughout Earth's asteroid belt. Old military bases on Mars were reactivated. The gas mining stations around Jupiter. Actually weapons factories. We converted 40% of our global economy to military production without the Council noticing, Admiral Reyes told me with obvious pride. Every commercial vessel we built had military-grade bulkheads and power systems. Every mining ship could be fitted with weapon mounts within hours. Every passenger liner had cargo holds that could carry troops or missiles. And the Valoran? Those peaceful, spiritual Valoran? They weren't as naive as everyone thought. They'd been part of the Council for centuries, long enough to recognize the signs of impending action. They began evacuating their most vulnerable populations to hidden locations months before the attack. They transferred historical and cultural data to secure human servers. They prepared. Not well enough, Admiral Reyes admitted, her eyes darkening. We thought we had more time. The first attack on Valora's Prime triggered an automatic alert to Earth. Quantum entanglement communicators, another technology the Valoran had forgotten to mention to the Council, carried the news instantly across light years. The response was immediate. Earth declared war on the Galactic Council. Not petition, not protest, not appeal. War. Every modified commercial vessel was commissioned into the newly formed Earth Defense Force. Every hidden weapon was mounted. Every trained soldier was deployed. The Valoran gave us the knowledge, Reyes said. We gave it teeth. Their crystal technology meant for healing and growth was weaponized. Those beautiful matrix structures that stored energy. Turns out they could release it too, as concentrated beams that cut through Council ship armor like it was paper. The Valoran atmospheric purifiers. Reconfigured to disperse clouds of nanites that could dismantle mechanical systems from within. Their agricultural growth accelerators. Repurposed to rapidly generate barriers of superdense organic material, living shields. We took everything gentle and made it fierce, Reyes said. Her voice held no remorse, only fierce determination. The Council taught us the rules of engagement by breaking them. So we threw away the rulebook. Within 72 hours of the first attack, Earth had mobilized the largest fighting force in its history, 5,000 ships, 15 million soldiers, all with one mission, save the remaining Valoran and make the Council pay. And oh, how we would pay. The first battle, the one at New Horizon, was over before it truly began. My fleet of 23 warships against 300 human vessels. Hey, I'm not ashamed to admit we never stood a chance. Target their command ship, Admiral Reyes ordered over the open channel. She wanted us to hear, wanted us to know what was coming. But disable only. We need prisoners. The human ships moved with a coordination I'd never seen before. Council fleets relied on strict hierarchical command structures, orders flowing down, information flowing up. The humans? They swarmed like Centaur hunting beetles, each ship seemingly independent yet part of a greater whole. Later I learned they called it distributed command, every captain empowered to make tactical decisions while contributing to the strategic objective. Sir, they're targeting our drive systems and weapons, my tactical officer reported, voice rising in panic. Not our life support or crew quarters. This was unusual. Council protocol dictated targeting bridge and life support first, maximum casualties, minimal resistance. The humans were deliberately avoiding unnecessary deaths. They're sending boarding parties, someone shouted. Then the hull breach alarms started wailing. I expected armored troops, heavy weapons. Instead, what breached our hull were drones, thousands of them, each no bigger than my fist. They swarmed through our corridors, emitting some kind of electromagnetic pulse that disabled our weapons but left life support intact. My security chief, Traz, fired at one. The drone exploded in a cloud of metallic dust that quickly reformed into two smaller drones. Stop shooting. I ordered. It only makes them multiply. Within 23 minutes, my flagship was captured without a single casualty on either side. The rest of my fleet fared no better. The humans took 23 warships and over 15,000 Nazari personnel prisoner in less than half an hour. Admiral Kvor, Reyes said when I was brought to her on the human flagship Retribution. You will contact the Council. You will inform them that Earth is now at war with the Galactic Council, not with its member species. You will explain that any Council ship attacking Valoran worlds will be destroyed, but those that stand down will be spared. I remember laughing in her face. The Council has thousands of warships, millions of troops. You think this little victory means anything? She smiled that predatory smile again. This isn't a victory, Admiral. This is a statement of intent. Within days, human fleets appeared in orbit around every remaining Valoran world. They established defensive perimeters, deployed those maddening drone swarms, and began evacuating Valoran to Earth and its colonies. The Council responded by sending larger fleets, not just Nazari ships, but Therian dreadnoughts, PXS destroyers, even the mysterious shroud vessels that could bend light around themselves. Admiral Jackson Romano, commanding the human forces at Valoran Minor, faced a Council fleet 5 times the size of his own. The Council commander, High Admiral Zen, gave Romano 1 hour to surrender or be destroyed. Romano's response became legendary across Council space: "We don't need an hour, High Admiral. Your weapons won't work in 30 seconds. And they didn't. Something, we still don't know what, disabled every energy weapon in Zen's fleet simultaneously. Then Romano's ships closed in. That battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 47 Council warships had been captured, 18,000 Council troops were prisoners, High Admiral Zen had committed suicide rather than surrender, and Romano broadcast a message to the entire Council. For every Valoran life you took, we will dismantle your empire piece by piece. This is not a war you started, but it is one we will finish." The human counterattack had begun. And with it, the Council's 3,000-year reign of dominance started crumbling. The next 6 months transformed galactic warfare forever. Every Council tactic, every strategy that had worked for millennia suddenly became obsolete against human ingenuity. I watched the reports come in with increasing horror as Earth's forces dismantled the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever known, piece by bloody piece. The Battle of Nazari Prime should have been a Council victory. Supreme Commander Draz assembled 400 warships, including 3 planet crackers, massive vessels capable of tearing apart a world's crust. Against them, 62 human ships led by Commodore Talia Rodriguez. "Suicide," my cellmate, a Therian captain, declared when we heard the news. The humans have finally overreached. Then we watched the live broadcast. The Council fleet arranged itself in the classic pincer formation. Heavy ships in the center, fast attack vessels on the flanks. Standard. Effective. Predictable. The human fleet didn't arrange itself at all. Instead, Rodriguez's ships scattered in seemingly random patterns. Council commanders laughed. Disorganized, panicking, they said. Then the human ships vanished. All 62. Gone in an instant. "Jump drives," someone whispered. "They've all got jump drives." Council vessels had jump capability too, of course, but it took hours to calculate a jump, huge amounts of energy, and the technology was so bulky only capital ships carried it. Human ships, even their smallest fighters, could jump almost instantly with minimal energy expenditure. Rodriguez's fleet reappeared inside the Council formation. Not just inside it, inside the shields of the largest vessels. Ships within ships, weapons already firing. The Council's 3 planet crackers exploded simultaneously. 26 capital ships followed within minutes. The rest of the Council fleet, suddenly without leadership or coordination, scattered. Rodriguez's ships hunted them down methodically. 400 Council warships against 62 human vessels. The battle lasted 47 minutes. 0 human casualties. "It's not just their technology," Admiral Reyes explained when I finally asked her directly. "It's how we think." The Proxima Centauri ambush proved her point. Council Admiral Keck laid a trap, using a seemingly vulnerable Valoran refugee convoy as bait. 300 Council ships hid in a nearby asteroid field, ready to spring on the human rescue fleet. Commander Whaley, leading just 40 human vessels, arrived to escort the refugees. Keck sprung his trap. Council ships emerged from hiding, surrounding the humans and refugees. Kek demanded immediate surrender. Commander Lee requested 10 minutes to consult with Earth Command. 9 minutes later, every asteroid in the field exploded. The asteroids were disguised human weapon platforms, deployed weeks earlier. The vulnerable, refugee ships suddenly shed their outer hulls, revealing heavily armed battle cruisers beneath. The whole convoy, the whole ambush, had been a counter-trap. Kek's fleet was caught in a three-dimensional crossfire. No escape, no mercy. "We knew you were coming," Lee told Kek over an open channel. "We've been reading your classified communications for months." The Valoran had given humans access to the Council's quantum communication network.